Guys, so this next one, it's a little weird. Now, when I say weird, I mean like how it all played out, how it fell into, well, mine and my dad's life. And, well, I should just probably tell the story. So here's a Monday morning memory from Pugliese Speech Shop. So as usual, guys, we'll cruise over here to the books, and this is where it gets weird. This is like this is the first and only car that I ever bought for my father. So, which book do you think it's in? If you said this one, you'd be wrong. So I said it gets weird. So we're gonna go through this one carefully because it's gonna make me mad if it catches up. I should really fix this thing. But we talked about that. There's the Pontiac. There's my book breaking. All right, we'll do this. The caddy. We talked about the caddy. We haven't talked about this yet, so pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Same here. See, it's all the way in the back of mine, and that's another reason it's weird. There it goes. 1935 Pontiac Silver Streak. Let me do the back up like we do. That right there is the day we picked it up in Connecticut somewhere. There's me right there. Trying to get all the pieces with the old timer there. And we're gonna zoom out. This isn't working out, guys. This is after it was at my dad's house for quite a number of years. That's our house down in Carolina. As we're getting ready to move back to China Lake. So this thing was in our life for a long time. And, well, I guess we'll talk about it. So I said it was weird, right? It was kind of a weird time in my life. We were living in Adelanto, California. I was still stationed in China Lake, but I was moving to Virginia. I had orders to Oceana, and I started looking at stuff on the East Coast because, well, that's where I was going to be. And eBay was like new to me. Like I was like, wow, I can look at everything. I think I mentioned when I bought the 53 Pontiac, I was actually looking at a 54 in Connecticut because you guys know I'm originally from Long Island, so Connecticut seemed close because Virginia seemed close. That's all relative, all right? Because, yes, I was stationed in Virginia. I lived in North Carolina, so it was a 6-hour drive to get to my parents' house in Pennsylvania. I want to say it was 7 or so to get to Long Island, and I think Connecticut was like 8, right? Now, when you're, I don't know, 25 years old, and you sell a house, get a bonus from the Navy, and you're pretty much always broke, but now you weren't. You want to buy up all the $500 cars because like you feel like you're a baller, I guess. None of it was true except for the fact that I tried to buy up all the $500 cars. So I'm a Pontiac guy, have been forever, and I'm cruising the old eBay, and I come across a 1935 Pontiac Silver Streak. It was a 2-door sedan, little humpback trunk, and I was like, man, this thing is cool. And my old man was always talking about hot rods and how he liked to, my cousin Sal's car. And granted, I couldn't find a Model A that I was willing to pay for, but the guy wanted $500. It was set up for a small block Chevy. It had a rack and pinion front end in it. Somebody put new floors in it. Now, it looked really good in pictures on dial-up internet in 2003. The same way, like, when I looked up MapQuest and I had a little printed out thing, I didn't feel like I was driving that far. But, guys, I've never cared about driving. So, we just drove cross country. I had just bought the trailer, set the Dakota up to actually pull stuff, and, well, for what it could. And I said, let's go. I want you to pay attention to this. See this picture right here. There's a car. Look at how clean that trailer is. That thing was just bought, went 3,000 miles cross country, and then immediately afterwards, I was like, we're going up to my parents. We drove to Connecticut first. I told them I had to stop somewhere first. And that's where I went. I want to say it was like Bridgeport or something. But that was not really actually where it was, because that was the closest town. It was in the middle of freaking nowhere. And like I said, MapQuest, you don't really know how far. You had really to pay attention to mileage. It was a whole thing. Like, you actually had to pay attention driving. Not quite as much when you have like an atlas, but almost. So we come through the ghetto. I know there was ghettos in Connecticut, but there was. And that's when I realized, we're not making my parents' house this night. It was dark. It was nasty. It was whatever. Actually, it wasn't. The weather was fine. It was like May, so I guess that wasn't really a problem. But so it must have been really late because it was dark. But either way, we get a room, and the next morning we get up and we get out to the countryside woods where this guy's place was. There's the car. We're setting it up. Half of the parts. Now, in the pictures, it was complete. And I think that's the last time it ever was. Because you see me in the woods right here? Yeah. I am, we're pulling all the parts out of there. Fenders and whatever else. Fenders, the grill, I think the bonnet, the hood and everything. I think that was all coming out of there. And there was stuff growing over it. So it was there for a little while. A lot of it we put in the bed of the truck. Some of it we put inside the car. We got everything. The old guy was cool. And we said, let's go. Took off to PA. We get on the highway. If you guys know me at all, I don't drive any different when I'm pulling a trailer. It's just, maybe I'm a jerk off. I don't know, whatever. But I just don't. I just, it's trailing me. So we're good. Well, I get on the highway, I bang into the middle lane, and I take off. Well, I didn't see anything. Megan didn't see anything. Andrew was asleep, I'm sure. But we get to, I don't know, I go a couple exits, however far I go till we need gas. We pull off, we're getting gas, and I'm pumping gas, and Megan's like, hey, Chaz, this car had a trunk, right? I said, yeah. 9 more, gone. No idea, never saw it again. No idea where it possibly could have been. So we're like, this is not going as planned. So all the stuff that was inside the truck, thank God that didn't come out. Now we tie all that stuff down, and we're like, all right, let's go. So we get to my dad's house, and by the time we get there, it's a little dark. And all this was further away from things than I thought it was. So I remember him coming out, and he's like, he's like, look, what is on that trailer? What is on that trailer? What is that? Is that? He thought at first it was a Model A. He thought I had Model A money, but no, definitely not. So, but it did, just the of course, the overall shape of it, and the windows were kind of small, and it's like, it was a cool car, man. It really was. And I felt it could be like a hot rod Model A type, but I love Brandon's car. It's his 37 Buick. I'll show you a picture of that. And that, it's only 2 year difference, GM. A lot of the similarities. So I was like, this could be a really cool car. And my dad loved it. He couldn't believe we bought it. He's like, I'm going to need your help. I've never done all this before. I don't know why he thought I did. But I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be up here all the time. And we were as much as we could. But like I said, I had this, I don't know, I guess you could call it like ignorance, thinking that everything was so much closer on the East Coast, which is weird because I grew up there, or here rather. But maybe because I slept in a car as a kid, I don't know. But either way, we get it in this garage, and we were there. What was it? I don't know. We had some kind of party. Maybe it was my dad. So actually, you know what? My dad's birthday was right, because I left. Yeah, it was right around that time frame, it was like a Father's Day, birthday, combined gift is what I told him I gave it to him for. And I said, we'll see how this goes. It might be Christmas too. But so we I guess we had a party. It must have been for his birthday or something. I don't know. But we had a lot of people come up. I remember my cousin Sal was there because right away he saw it. And he was like, yo, that's a 35 Pontiac. And like, there's no trim on it. There's nothing. There's no front end. I said, how did you know that? He's like, oh, well, because there was one piece of trim and the fact that it was suicide doors. He's like, yeah, 35, that's when the Pontiac had suicide doors. And I was like, oh, I thought that was like aftermarket. Somebody did that. He's like, no, that's how it was. And oh, wow. He knew more than we all did, right? So he's reminding him of building his car. So they were all reminiscing. It was really cool. Just the memories, that watching them talk about when they were teenagers was awesome, you know? So we end up, we take off. Later on, my dad would always find cars at dealerships, when he's at the dealers. So he brings home from work, I want to say it was like a 91, 92, something like that. I think it was an Oldsmobile, like a wagon, had an LT1 in it. And he's like, hey, I think I want to put this in that car. And I was like, that's a great idea. And it had like a 400 turbo trans or something, whatever, maybe 700 R4. Probably 700 R4. But I was like, yeah, sure, let's get it. So my parents' driveway is like on an angle. We got this car there. It's all chalked up and parking braked and everything, so it doesn't take off when we pull this motor and trans out. But we pull the motor and trans out of that car in the driveway. It makes an effing mess. Coolant, we thought we drained it all. It says everything just making a mess. Running down the driveway, where there were hoses trying to dilute it or whatever, and makes it no dogs come up, But we pulled the motor out, we spun around, we dropped it right in the frame rails of that 35 Pontiac, which was in a corner at my parents' house, and there was like a pool table on the other side at the time. So the garage was full, right? And we had it sitting there, and we had all these different ideas. In fact, I later on ended up getting another car. My dad picked up a 84 Grand Prix, and we're going to talk about that, so we're not going to go into too much detail, but he bought it just for the wheels and the wheels, tires, and the seats he wanted for his car. Unfortunately, none of it fit. Well, unfortunately for him, but later on it was fortunate for me. So, yeah, he's collecting parts, and he's kind of trying to see what he's going to do and all that kind of stuff, and it, as it happens, guys, time goes on. It sits for a little while, you kind of push it to the side, and then, things happen, right? Life gets in the way, as we've mentioned a million times on this channel. So it ends up just sitting. And I also, my dad at the time, he had a PT Cruiser that I don't like to tell a lot of people, even though I just told the whole internet. But, all 6 of you guys that are watching. But he said, why did you buy this? And I told him, I said, so you'll stop bolting shit onto that car. And it might have slowed him down a little bit. But yes, like I said, it kind of just then you start looking at it, you got so much to do, you get overwhelmed. Like I said, at one point my brother, he tried to prime it all one color. Thought maybe that would, kind of just the visual, right? What were we talking? Visual progress. That kind of was that. But it just it wasn't a priority. It wasn't, if I was closer, maybe we could have done something with it. But I don't know what happened to the motor. I guess I tried to convince my brother to put it in his Trans Am. I don't know why I didn't want to do that, but I think it eventually got sold off. And fast forward to I'm leaving Oceana. I was stationed there for 5 years. We're heading back to China Lake. And my dad's like, hey, I can't do that with this car, man. I was like, I get it. So I was like, you know what? We'll come get it. I'll get it, and me and the kid will build it. And we'll make a nice thing out of it. And, I was like, yeah, okay, I bought it for him, but, father, son, to kind of keep, So like, all right, well, I'll do that. So, as I said, I was selling my house and everything. I think I actually already sold it. So, now I don't have the Dakota anymore. That's like 3 trucks ago, because we had some things happen. We talked about that. But, so I just bought the dually, and I was pulling some stuff out to California that we'll talk about on another one. But I got the same trailer. Here's this picture right here. After we went to go get it, the trailer had some miles on it. By this 5 years, they get beat up pretty quick. This right here, this picture is why I tell you, buy a black trailer, not a white one. Because, man, the rust comes out on those things. They just look beat up. But we went up there. We picked it up. All of the fenders, the bonnet, the grill, all that stuff was behind the shed at my parents' house. So we're like, okay, we'll get that later. Let's just get the car out of the way. I can come up and get it. We end up, we drag it back to my place. Then I end up bringing it to Chip's house. My buddy Chip, you guys hear me talk about him a lot. He lived about 10 miles from me, maybe a little more, and he was staying there. So he's like, he has a property. We lived there for a little while. Actually, some of the pictures you see of the cars were at his house. His cars, we got a lot of cars there, guys. But so I parked the car there, and he's like, you're good to go. Kind of get it way out of the way. And that was it. I had, our plan was, we were going to Channel 8 for 3 years and coming back. The Navy had different plans, though. So when it was apparent that the Navy had way different plans, and I ended up transferring to Lemoore, we still had the car there. Chip was looking at transferring to Lemoore, which he did, and he ended up holding on to the house, but he thought he was going to sell it. So I was like, man, I got to get this car there. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm trying to get rid of this thing. So we had driven cross country for vacation that turned into a whole bunch of other things, and as we always say, right? I had, if you remember, I mentioned about when I bought the Pontiac, I was looking at a Buick first. I ended up getting a nailhead motor for free. A 53 Pontiac nailhead with a Dynaflow, I think. And I had that in the storage unit I had out there, which we were also getting rid of because, guys, 9 times out of 10, if you got a storage unit, you don't need it. You need to thin the herd, you know? So that's what we were doing. We had storage unit in North Carolina because we thought we were coming back. So we gave away most of the stuff in there. I pulled the motor out of there, which was all gravel. What a pain. Oh, man, it was awful. And everybody was sick at the time. I was only by myself, and I was sick. It sucked. But I had the car for sale, which is funny. I put it on Craigslist because that's what he did back then. This was 2012 timeframe, maybe. And put the wrong phone number. Can you believe it? So some guy, I think actually it's the guy that was getting all the email, or all the phone calls, emailed me through Craigslist and was like, dude, fix the phone number. I'm over this car, man. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. So I paid $500 for it. I listed it for $700. I stuck that motor as part of the deal, right? This old dude coming in. I say old. He was probably about younger than I am now. Shit. Either way, he seemed older. And he came by and loved it, him and his kid. And I was like, well, that's kind of ironic, right? So he loved it. I didn't have, he wanted, man, I remember. So when I didn't go back, I don't know whatever happened with all that stuff, but I remember it didn't have the fenders or all that. And guys, I really like that stuff. I was like, sorry, man, I don't have a trunk because it's on the side of the highway somewhere in Connecticut. The hood and the fenders were gone. So I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man. And I felt like a jackass, man. Because like I think I mentioned before, if we say like, you know, we don't own these cars, especially the old ones, man, the 30s and stuff. We don't own them. We're just the current timekeeper, like the timekeeper, but a caregiver for these cars for this period of time. And I had that car for the most part for 5 years, and I didn't do it a whole lot of favors. So, like I said, because everything got mixed up. I mean, right after I get it, I lose a freaking trunk. So, this guy said, hey, I'll give you $500 for it. I was like, cool, man. You want this motor too? I don't even know if it's locked up or anything. He's like, dude, I love a nailhead. Hell yeah. And he starts telling me all the stuff he has. And he came to pick it up in a 71, 72 long bed C10. Maybe a C20. And and he flat towed it out of there with a tow bar. I was like, this man has done this before. And of course, he told me, hey, man, I'll see you a picture when we get it done. I never got any pictures. But I like to think that even though I did this car no favors, I found the right guy for it, because he pulled that thing out of a field, that truck, and his kids listening. So he knew what he was doing. So I'm you know what? I'm sure whatever that car is, it's awesome, because that guy he was a guy. So I did own a 35 Pontiac, I guess. I don't think I had a title for that thing now I think about it. So the fact that I even got $500 out of it, missing all those parts, probably pretty good. But it was a cool car, man. And I wish we could have done more with it. We just didn't. And sometimes that happens, and you kind of just got to know this is time to let go. And that's what we did. And I think it was a solid plan. It was kind of funny as I was all done, when I first dropped it off at my dad's place, he's like, oh man, well now you got to drive back with an empty trailer. I said, well, no we don't. You and me are going to Long Island tomorrow, and you're going to see why. And we'll talk about that next week. Thanks for watching, guys.